Welcome to Your Soul Wisdom, hosted by Yana Amor Manocas. In each episode, we invite you on a transformative journey delving into the profound mysteries and wisdom of the soul. Join us as we explore a wide array of spiritual topics and sacred practices that nurture and heal the soul, from reincarnation and soul contracts to the enigmatic experiences of womb alchemy and astral travel. Our discussions are designed to enlighten, inspire, and deepen your understanding of your own soul's journey. With Your Soul Wisdom, nothing is off limits. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Your Soul Wisdom. It feels like it has been a long time, even though we do this every single week. And so is it that like time is speeding up and the summer/winter is coming to an end quickly? Like what's happening?
No idea.
I don't even know what month we're in anymore.
So to
I
God,
did
I'm
think
like
it was
that as
interesting. Yeah, when I was looking at, the long range weather and September is coming up on that now, I'm like, oh my goodness, like we really have burned through winter as fast as we could kind of thing. So,
Which
but
is
it is
great.
freezing today in Adelaide.
But it's great for you guys breezing through winter. For us,
No, we've barely had winter. I actually like winter. In Sydney, it's barely been winter.
Yeah, I'm like, where is my summer? I want
don't know.
my summer vacation. I miss my summer vacation. You know, you were so excited as a kid when school was done because, you had 3 months where you could sleep in, you'd go to the pool every day, you would just do whatever. I miss that.
We've got
nobody
summer
else?
here. We've had nobody, not a person in UK can say that we haven't had a summer
Yeah.
when winter comes, because we
We've
certainly
had a
have.
summer, but has it gone by fast?
No, our summer's still here because it's still hot, and it's going to be hot, I guess, for the rest of August. So we've had that literally from since I got back from Melbourne.
But are you not like, oh my God, how is it August already?
Oh, I'll tell you what, no, because of this heat that we've got going on, it's like, we've still got August to go get through with this heat. So, yeah, can't complain, really.
All right. Okay.
It's hot.
Come on, we can't be talking about the weather.
Well,
I'm British. We always talk about the weather.
Right? It's very childlike energy, which is very much, part of the discussion we're having today. So, Rachel, if you want to kick us off for us to dig into this.
Look, it started with me watching another reel, and it was the Begin Again podcast. And I'm afraid I should have really taken notice of who this woman was. But in response to a question, this woman posed another question, which is, she was suggesting that this woman had turned into the adult she needed as a child. And really, like, I have integrated that statement so much now, it doesn't even zing with me now. But at the time, there was all of this stuff that fired off within me. And then I've sort of gone around and asked people this question, if they too, have turned into the adult they needed as a child. And I've been really surprised by the spectrum of answers. And in the most basic way, that I'm completely untrained and I'm an ex-food wholesaler, what seems to be a correlation with my familiarity with people's stories, but who knows what people's actual stories are, is the sort of more challenging their childhood, the faster they would have an answer, basically, that would be hell yes to that question. And, it made me think, and there's, of course, other people that I have asked, like this beautiful professional that comes to my house once a month, and I asked her, and she was like, yeah, maybe in some ways. And look, she's indicative of other people that I feel like haven't had that much sort of trauma, so to speak, and can see that there are things that they have wanted to have aspired to, that they have achieved, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I did have another point and all of a sudden it's gone in my head. But, I'm interested in what it brings up for you guys. I mean, when I asked Yana, she had the most extraordinary answer. And it seemed like it was almost impossible for Yana to connect to the concept because she wouldn't have been seeking anything as a child. Like, she was thinking, it started this other conversation about role models and all this kind of stuff. but how Yana didn't even have a relationship as a child to be seeking anything from an adult. And I don't know whether that indicates that all of your needs were completely met and you were unconscious of them as a child, or whether you were so self-possessed and inner that you really didn't look out for that kind of support. I don't know if you even know at this stage.
Well,
But yeah,
I did pick up on the fact that my answers or my lack of answer was frustrating in a way, because you're like, I think you expected maybe at that point for me to be like, oh, absolutely, yes, and X, Y, and Z. I didn't relate to it. Not that I didn't go through, I had a few, near death experiences, if you will. My parents divorced when I was 7. We moved to a different country. I didn't speak a lick of English. There were so many things I went through, but I think because I was so internalized as a kid, haha, very funny. I use
yeah.
a lot of words now. But because I was so like in my own world and happy in my own bubble, I never felt like I was lacking or missing out, or I experienced something that was so traumatic that I needed to nurture myself, if that makes sense at all.
It does, but at the same time, it could also, in my mind, be an example of perfectly balanced parenting. Do you know what I mean? Like your needs were met and you're not even
Yeah.
conscious of it, and you weren't enmeshed into your family to the extent that you couldn't function without them. Somehow, between all that trauma and all the changes, there was some sort of perfect balance. I did remember the last thing, and I just need to get it out, otherwise I'll forget what I am fascinated about, and especially with children of you, all 4 of you, and also some of my other friends that have really consciously parented their children, is I wonder in 30 years if I was to ask your children that same question, have you turned into the adult you needed as a child? I wonder if they'd even understand the question. Do you know what I mean? Maybe somewhat like you, that they just don't even understand those words being put together, that kind of thing.
I think for me, so I hear everything you're saying, and I think I can't. For me, I would say no, because I didn't feel like I was missing anything in that sense. So I didn't have to fill that in as an adult. I more have like what maybe a lot of us have is the case of am I turning into my mother? It's more that.
Oh, I'm definitely turning into my mother as well. Those two things can happen at the same time. I can turn into the parent I needed and my mother.
Yeah. So I think that's more me. I can see myself doing things that she would have done or said. And there's also things about her that I've always wanted to be for my children, and in the way in how she did things. Do you know what I mean? And I also see that with my sister as well. That a lot of the things though that she does is like my mum, but I think she would say hell no, but it really is my mum.
Yeah, but is that turning into, parenting yourself in that way, or is that you becoming your mother? Are those two different things, or is that the same thing?
I think it's two different things, because I'm not parenting myself. It's like how I parent my children. And it's like, it's different. It's not even big things. It's more the things that's like, my mum always sort of did our packed lunches different to everybody else's. Everybody else had like boring sandwiches. My mum would make like sort of like beef burgers, and so we'd eat that like cold for lunch. And she'd also do like onions in it as well. So we'd just have onions in it. Like my friends all remember my packed lunch. Do you know what I mean? And like my mum was like that. We'd have kebabs for lunch and everything like that. She was quite amazing like that. And so my children, because of that, my children don't like sandwiches. They don't eat sandwiches because I never ever gave them sandwiches for school.
That's something they grew up with.
Yeah, I would do different things. So it's more that I think.
Well, it's interesting, Rachel, I sometimes feel like I always feel like I'm a child, like I'm a kid doing adult things. I don't view myself as an adult, even though I'm a young 43. And so could that kind of have some kind of connect? Like I'm trying to piece it together. I'm trying to find something in this.
Well, look, I guess I'll jump in because my experience is quite different to what's been discussed so far,
Yeah.
and I'm sure Kylie will jump in as well. So I had always a very high amount of sensitivity, okay, and my childhood was very challenging for me. I was also very internal, but I was internally in a lot of pain. But, you know, what I've come to learn as an adult is because of my sevens, even though I feel like it's written all over my face, no one has any idea. And so for me, like with my own children, I am so acutely aware. I can feel what they feel. I know all the things that I needed that I didn't necessarily receive. And at this point, I'm not blaming anyone, because even though I thought it was written all over my face, no one really had any idea. So it's not necessarily about like they did something wrong or did it, whatever it is. But the reality was, I really struggled, and I didn't have everything I needed to match the person that I was and my sensitivity and the support that I needed. And I'm so acutely aware of that with my kids. I can feel it in their bodies. So I parent very, very differently. So I can absolutely say I have 100% turned into the adult that I needed, because I am that adult for my children now.
Yeah.
But can I ask you, are you that
Get it.
adult for yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And, you know, I don't know. And that's certainly happened over time. But also I don't have parents anymore. So, you know, essentially I don't have adults anymore either. So I think that's a big part of me feeling so strongly about that, because I am that person.
Yeah.
I don't have that, you know. So yeah. But I'm sure Kylie's got a similar experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to ask a question before I even discuss mine. Do you think that you model your who you're turning into or who you are based on what you experience and what you do not want to experience or portray in the world? Does that even make sense? Or did you look for role models who you idolized as a child, a young adult, and be like, I want to morph, I want to be like that? Like, where was the inspiration from?
It's totally internal.
Interesting.
It's been like a development and an uncovering of it's definitely not a role model situation. That's not even part of this equation for me. So
that's interesting, because I know I have both, right? So I know it's not coincidence that I've been very mothered by other older women in my life who felt like I needed that person, even though I never asked for it. And I looked to them to be like, oh, okay, this is what I should be doing, because that makes me feel cared for in a way. So I was curious to see where you pulled that inspiration from.
Yeah. It like literally is, you know, like it's like creating the puzzle pieces that never existed but that were missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me. Yeah.
Yeah, look, everyone knows the backstory. So, you know, I do feel like I've turned into the adult or the person that, you know, I would have wanted as a child or needed as a child. And I still feel very like I'm lacking a lot of things. So I know that for my kids, if I can't fill in the gaps or I'm struggling, like I don't know what to do in this because this is super mothering and I don't know what to do, I know this is terrible, and I will admit it. We have a therapist on call who, you know, they're not consistent. They might be consistent for like 3 months, but if there is something big coming up that I'm struggling to navigate through, I am not afraid to be like, hey, let's check in with Dr. whoever.
Nothing terrible with that.
That's not terrible. That's like admirable.
Great
A lot of people don't do that.
It does feel like a bit of a cop out. Like I'm like, I should just.
It's the opposite of that.
Not at all. Not at all. And I'll tell you why.
The cop out is not asking for help.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because whether you call it therapist, whether you call it best friend, whether you call it, your women's group, or the people that you have around you, we are going to each and every one of us looking for help, for guidance, talking about how we're doing
Right.
this as a mother, talking about how we've done this, or this particular child has said this or done this, and how do I deal with that, and all of those different types of things. So it's definitely not a cop out. Your therapist is part of your community that's helping you
Yeah.
to
I love that.
raise your family.
I do
It's
appreciate
that
that.
simple. It really is that
I do feel
simple.
better about that then.
Yeah,
Yeah, I will
absolutely.
absolutely, because I'm scared. Like, I was going down a really dark road, and I'm like, I don't want that for them because I don't have the tools all the time.
Yeah,
So yes, I am okay to call in someone if I need to.
yeah.
Okay, can I ask you a question, Kylie? And
Mhm.
this can go for Lauren and for everybody.
Mhm.
When for those of us who didn't have the nurturing that we should have or could have had as a child, and then we have children, or even with ourselves, where do you draw that inspiration on how to nurture and how to give whatever the thing is if we never received it ourselves? Is it through talking to a therapist? Is it through, listening to podcasts, observing other parents, other adults nurture themselves? Like, where do we draw that from if we didn't feel like we properly and sufficiently had that for ourselves as a kid?
I think Lauren hit it on the head. I think that you have to dig into those shadow parts and be like, okay, well, we went through this, and who do we need to show up? Like, what version of ourselves do we need to show up? And then you start embodying that.
Yeah.
I know that
a lot of work, right? So Kylie mentioned therapy. I put myself into therapy when I was 20. And then I started all sorts of other, exploratory and, emotional work and everything, in my 20s. So, I'm 43. That's been a really long time. And I have been super dedicated. Like, I have prioritized that quite significantly. Like, other people would prioritize their career, right? So it has been like, it's been a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
But also, I also think it's partly how I'm made up. And now in human design, I do have a channel that is all about being the nurturer, right? So I have that channel. So for me, it's like, when it's negative, it's like I would literally sacrifice myself to nurture those in need, right? So it's a very strong thing within me, within my human design. But I remember when my son was born, when he was little, and he didn't sleep for the first 2.5 years. He had some health stuff, which was affecting his ability to eat, sleep, grow. And there's just something at that point ignited in me, because I had to go to about 5 or 6 doctors to get anyone to listen to me. And there was no way that I was going to let them tell me that kid just wanted cuddles in the middle of the night, because I knew something was wrong.
Something was wrong.
So I think it's partly all the work I did, but partly how I'm built as well.
Can I also just pop in with that, Yana, that people, the two easiest things to do are exactly the same as your parents or exactly the opposite as your parents.
Right.
Like, they're the two tracks that you'll take if you don't do therapy. Do you know what I mean? And if you don't have a conscious living, that kind of thing. So often with people, like, when I have been talking with people who have been trying to reconcile with, say, their fathers and their fathers now, I mean, what I've gently tried to reflect back to them is that they have the most exceptional relationships with their children, and they are all magnificent fathers. And perhaps that is because of the experience that they've had with their fathers growing up. And honestly, I know that everybody would choose to have a lovely relationship with their father and be a great parent. But if you only had the choice of one or the other, I know all these men would have chosen exactly what they got, as in a difficult childhood for themselves to be beautiful parents for their children. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's a gift in everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Look, for me, right, so my mum was not an affectionate person. She was not. She was never gonna hear, I don't think I ever heard "I love you" come out of her mouth, ever. But I guess she just showed that in other ways, whereby I've always felt she was my biggest fan, and she was always on the end of the phone. Do you know what I mean? If I needed anything. My dad was the person that was more emotional than my mum. My dad was the one who, like, he would tell me that he loved me. And if I came in the house, even as a grown adult, if I came in the house, the person that I would kiss is my dad. I wouldn't dream of kissing my mum. But I would kiss my dad hello, and I would kiss him goodbye. But my mum, she just really wasn't that person. I remember one time when I kissed her goodbye, she was pissed mad at me because I told her that she couldn't have something that she wanted. And I said, you can't have it. And we had a bit of a rustle tussle about it. And she thought I was being horrible to her, but I wasn't.
Was that
and I
the
said,
donut?
I'm doing this because, I was thinking it was a donut or something like that.
It was a donut.
It was a donut, wasn't it? Or a muffin. It was something like that she wanted. And I said, you're not having it because you can't have it. It'll kill you. It wouldn't have killed her, but but it slowly helped her.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so am I affectionate with my children? I'd like to think I am. As I get older, I think I'm a lot more affectionate. But I tell you what, growing up with them, when they went to school, I kissed them. When they came home, I don't remember if I kissed them when they came home, but I don't remember. But if they left the house, they had to kiss me. If they went, that was it. And when they went to bed, they had to kiss me. Or I would kiss them. It's not they had to kiss me. You know what I mean? We'd always tell each other, or they would come and say, well, I'm going to bed now, blah, blah, blah. But now, when I get off the phone to speaking to them, because two of them not here, I always tell them that I love them. But I wonder where that now, you guys make me think, and I think that was my son who's kind of started that with me. When he got off the phone, he would always say, I think so. If I'm really honest about it, I think it was him. And so I say it all the time now. I say it all the time, but I don't know. I think there are things.
Maybe he turned into the adult he needed.
He went to therapy.
And then you turned into that adult. I don't mean like that, but you know what I mean? Look, honestly, listening to you guys, because obviously I don't have children, so I can't reflect like that. But honestly, listening to you, I realised there's only a couple of things that I do feel like that I turned into that, to the opposite of my parents. And one of them is verbally telling people that I love and appreciate them, because certainly there was nothing like that growing up in my family. And also, crumbs, what was the other thing? Oh, yeah, like my parents, I shouldn't say like my parents didn't. What I'd like to think I do now is ask people how they feel. And definitely that was not part of the conversation. There was lots of conversation about what we did, but not ever about how we felt about it. But I can easily see it's because it's not like they wouldn't have wanted to know. They just didn't think like that. That's not how, do you know what I mean? Like they didn't have that input. It's so obvious what it's like. And I suspect that, like your son, Amanda, that me going down this track and doing those things has actually also had that effect backwards to my parents. And so now I have influenced them in that reverse way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
so I say it to my family now. When I get off the phone to my sisters, to my siblings, I'll tell them that I love them, and they would respond likewise. But we never used to do it before. And I don't know, part of that might be my son. I mean, I'm not going to take that away from him. And part of that might be as well, I don't know, is that just getting older? Well, I think as you get older, a lot of the boundaries that you had, or not even the boundaries, a lot of those sort of walls maybe that you had, they kind of come down without you even realizing that they come down. They're not as...
Yeah, but with someone... I totally understand what you're talking about. But for me, I 100% know it would have been me being around people that were freely expressing their love and would have said, I love you, like as they're getting off the phone. And initially, the first 10 times I would have been shocked and I love you back kind of thing. But then you get used to it. You don't have and they say I love you and you say I love you and it's all, you know what I mean? Like you get used to it. And I've got off the phone from people that I should not be saying I love you bye to, and accidentally said, okay, I love you bye. And go, like, wrong.
When that happens with clients, that's a bit strange, because sometimes that can just come out of clients' mouths, and you know why?
Yeah, but again,
sometimes it can come out.
It's just more love in the world.
I just think, wow, I just think that's just amazing. But I don't know. I mean, I still think I've got so much more life left in me. So maybe, maybe there are other gaps. I knew as a child I was very sensitive. As loud as I was at school, I wasn't that person at home. I was two very different people. I was a very different person outside the house than I was at home. So I was in home, I was quite sensitive and quite moody and stuff like that. And I think that growing up in the sort of cultural family that I obviously grew up in, my father is African. My mother was Guyanese. My dad's Ghanaian. My mum's Guyanese. Really, truly, children grew up. You weren't supposed to have emotions. You weren't supposed to have emotions. Oh God, no! You weren't supposed to get angry.
Except
You
for
wasn't supposed to
fear.
have any of those things. You weren't supposed to fight.
You were
back
supposed to be
or
able to be
argue back.
scared.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it was purely based on, that's how I grew up. I think some children could do with that nowadays, to be quite honest with you. In all honesty, because listen, back in the day, you never went out on the road and made a fool of yourself. But going out there doing up a whole load of nonsense that a lot of the kids are out there doing nowadays. And because you'd be afraid to come home after the time that you were told to come home by your parents, listen, you'd rather go stay at somebody else's house and probably come home a whole week later. Then they'll be worried that you've gone missing or that you've got lost. And then by the time they get you back, they'll be really happy to see you and they're not gonna like, give you some licks. But so you weren't allowed to really truly, and I think that probably sent me more deeper into myself because there was no way to really express anything, and you couldn't be angry or upset. You couldn't go upstairs to your room and close the door and say and have a sign on your door, "Do not enter." Listen, my mum would have taken the door off the hinge. About do not enter. That wasn't going to happen. Do you know what I mean? So we weren't allowed to be angry or mad or show that kind of emotion.
Moody.
You couldn't really. You were in your bedroom, did what you need to do, and then when you came outside, you were a different member of the family. It's a strange thing, but was I any different? But I'm very different with my children. I realize that my children, they are three very, very different people, and I have to treat them accordingly. One child needs this, one child needs that, and one child needs this. One child's a bit more independent than the other. One child's a bit like this, and one child needs more of you. Do you know what I mean? And that's how they were. And I was very much aware of that. But then I was deep also inside my kind of spiritual work and self-development work by the time I had my children. And as I went on as they grew and stuff like that. So I was very much aware of that.
Yeah, so that's really conscious parenting. And that brings me just like to another point, because I guess people who maybe didn't have the most preferable experience could really go too much the other way. And I have been very conscious of that too, right? So there are certainly times where I've needed to keep myself in check to not sort of like overly do things or to project or to make something what it was, like make something it wasn't, you know what I mean? So it really is a fine balance, and it does come to consciousness. And Amanda, I love what you said about they're all different, because they are, and so many people will just have rules that cover all of them.
Everybody,
but they're different.
Doesn't work.
They're so different. Yeah, it doesn't work. You're right.
It doesn't work, and it's not nice. It's just not nice for all of them, because in a sense you tar all of them with the same brush.
Well, you're not seeing them for who they are.
You're not. You really are not. I remember one time my son, there was something happening, I think, with my middle son, and my older son said to me, "Christ, Mum," he goes, "how do you do it? Like, why do you not just like kind of like every time? How do you not lose your mind?" Like something like that. And I said, and it was very interesting because they were in secondary, and he was in secondary, a lot older. I think he might have been in uni, and he just said, "How do you not just, And I just said, because he needs something different from me than what you would require. You're not like that, so you wouldn't require the patience that he needs from me, that you would never even require. You wouldn't even ask that of me." I said, and I have to give that to him because that's who he is. And he went, "Wow." He goes, "Mum, parenting is hard." I said, "Not really."
Yes, it is. Parenting is hard. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, there's another flip side to this too, which is when you start treating or loving yourself and your children like the adult that you needed, it's also sometimes hard to shake off the things you don't want. Like, so for example, my mother was very hard on us. She was your typical Greek, very high standards. You do X, Y, and Z. You don't go out. You don't do this. You don't have sleepovers. You don't have boyfriends. You clean the house. You had your things. And so that is something where I allow my child to have more freedom, but I have very high expectations. Things need to be done. You can't get away with things. I'm also equally strict, right? And so, but I'm like that with myself too. And I'm like, God, just give yourself the grace. Or sometimes I'll catch myself with my daughter where I'm like, I really could ease up on this. And so I'll try to rewrite that moment. But it's really hard too to let that go sometimes because you're just like,
But
I
that
grew
is
up
the
strict.
work. Like,
That
you're
is
doing
right.
the work in the
I'm doing
moment
that.
in real time. That is significant, you know.
The
And
fuck
by
and-
no means am I saying I've got it all figured out. There are many times where I need to apologize or
Yeah.
course correct, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's like, and I remember even at one point saying to one of my kids, I'm really sorry, like, you did not come with an instruction manual and I don't know what to do. And I think that
yeah.
is okay because it's
Yeah.
like, Mummy is trying really hard, but I don't actually have all the answers. And then they can see you as human and vulnerable and able to admit, you know, that you're not perfect and you make mistakes and whatever else. And that is really significant in them accepting who they are and being able to express that they don't know and all of those things. So it's good role modeling, right?
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's also hard now, so it's easier later. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that whatever I'd feel awkward being strict and disciplining my child is kind of what it feels like. But I was having dinner with a friend who, had a complicated childhood, but it definitely wasn't her. Both her parents were terribly traumatized, and they loved her to the most, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time, that meant that if she wanted McDonald's and Coke for dinner, that's what she got, that kind of thing. So this
God,
kid just got, well, this is the thing. And so now, from all that kindness and generosity, or just wanting, like, she knows her parents, she knows where they were coming from. Do you know what I mean? And it was only from love. It wasn't from laziness. They would have done anything for her, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But she's had to unlearn all of this appalling food stuff. Do you know what I mean? Which has actually been much harder as a 40-year-old than it would have been to learn reasonable eating as a child and then just have that naturally. Do you know what I mean? So I know that's an extreme example, and I know that's not what you're talking about with food, but behavior is the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't give your child some boundaries, what you're going to do is they're going to come up against the boundaries, and it's going to be public, and it's going to be confusing, and it's going to be humiliating for them because it'll be the first time it's happened to them, and it will happen, kind of stuff. So, But again, I promise you, from the outside, not being a parent, it looks extremely hard. It looks like relentless drudgery to just extreme ultra marathon sport somewhere.
And it
somewhere
isn't.
in there
It really
is
isn't.
what it looks like.
I don't think
really
it really isn't. I think it really isn't. Listen, it's not. Being a parent, it's not like running 100 meters. It's probably like doing, like when you do the steeplechase.
Yeah,
If
ultra
anybody knows the
marathon.
steeplechase.
Yeah.
So you're like jumping up hurdles, going inside water, sand pits, everything, every licking thing, or maybe but it really isn't. I don't know. It wasn't for me a struggle because I think for me it was the most important job that I had. So, and I can speak like this because my children are obviously a lot more older. They've really gone through most of the mothering they're going to need. They never grow out of the mothering, but I've set them off on the road. but I think I think it was my most important job ever, and I think for me, I've loved every minute of it. I think it's like when you give birth, you kind of forget what it's like. So I kind of,
Yes.
the tough moments, I've
You
kind of
do,
forgotten.
everybody.
Yeah.
I don't forget the stories
You
all of you tell me.
absolutely
That's the
do.
thing. Maybe it is like that for you guys.
No, you
but
Because I
it's a
don't have
similar
that,
thing.
I
What Amanda's
remember
saying.
it.
you do. Your body.
No, but it's like
pain.
it's painful, but at the same time, it's the most rewarding thing ever. I think essentially is what Amanda's trying to say, right? Like there is so much.
But you don't
in
remember it.
parenting,
You don't remember the pain of giving birth. If you did, you damn well wouldn't go and do it again. You don't. The memory hits you when you have your second one and you suddenly realize, Jesus Christ, how did I forget this? Right? But you do forget it. For some reason, the body locks it down, shuts it away, and you don't remember it because that pain is like nothing on this earth. It's you can't it's indescribable. Um so yeah. So where was I going with that? Now, raising my kids has been amazing. It's been amazing. And the young adults that they are today, I think they're just phenomenal. I think they're just phenomenal people. And they make me laugh every day.
So can I go on a different tangent for a
Yeah.
moment?
Cool.
Do each of you ladies recognize what area you may get to still work on? Like, do you think that you can step back and be like, okay, I can still pinpoint something that.
That's what I was saying, where I'm like, sometimes I'm like, geez, like, let it go. Things don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be so hard on my children and myself. It is a real thing. I'm hit with it all the time. But also there's that balance of, you can't just completely let it go. You still have to guide, you know?
Yeah.
Don't need any messy kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, 100%, Kylie, all day. It's present within me all day long.
That, and Rachel having that reflection back of the parent child role. What about you? Do you recognize, like, okay, there are still things that I don't know.
Look, again, like Yana, all day, every day. But again, I wanted to change the subject eventually of when we finish this off the parenting thing as well, to look at other aspects of our lives, because I've always known that my management style was largely based on what I didn't want it to be. And that's not to say that my ex-bosses were terrible, but there were definitely aspects of certain aspects with each of them that I did not want to emulate, that kind of thing. And so I can see that I did the opposite of a lot of those things in that binary kind of way. But again, look, the kind of things that come up for me are the kind of things that I have always struggled with, which is staying grounded and unjudgmental. And that's just the running theme of all of it, under, when it comes down to it, everything that I find undesirable about myself springs from those two things.
You know what's really funny? Can I bring up a work thing? I didn't even think of this, but I've never forgotten. I've worked in a lot of startups, and I remember one of my bosses when I was in college had a startup video gaming review website. Don't ask. And he was
Lauren
like,
would have been great at that.
No, she would not in this particular field. I'm just saying, Lauren's too put together for this. But anyway, he was like, well, the reason why I started this up, because I asked him, like, why did you start this? And he's like, because I didn't like all my other bosses, so I wanted to be the boss. And it was the biggest shit show of a company, because he decided it was his life mission to be the anti-boss. And I think he realized about a year in how dysfunctional it was and how there is something around that. And then he tried
It's like being an anti-parent. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, but it's like
awful.
It's like those parents who don't want to be called mum or dad, so their child always calls them their first name throughout the thing. And I just think that's a big fat no for me. Although my first child did call me by my first name, but that was all he heard. He'd never heard mum, because you don't realize that you have to teach your first child what to call you, because what they hear is what other people call you.
you know,
But,
we're at this workplace and this man is dressing up like Batman and jumping off the couches, you know, and it's like, I think, like, I even had to sit down with him. I'm like, I think you need to rein this in, like, where you've lost control. And he's like, look, I admit I have probably lost control. And then he sat down, he was like, okay, right, we're now going to run meetings and we're going to do this now. We're going to do this. No more costumes in the workplace, you know. And anyway, everyone quit. And then he went bankrupt.
Oh,
And it was like,
okay.
you
Good
can't,
story.
But it's a
that.
perfect example of going too far the other way, just
Right.
in spite of
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah.
So
But-
I wouldn't, you know, sort of that sort of route isn't what I would call consciously doing something to make meaningful change. It's like, I just want the opposite of what I had.
Right. But sometimes
did
you need to
everybody
fail
quit?
to
But hold
know
on a
the
minute.
gauge, right?
But did
Of
everybody
how far to
quit?
go.
But did everybody quit, Kylie, because the rules changed, and they wanted Batman back, or what?
Absolutely. No,
Oh.
you have not. No, everyone had custom capes. There was
wow.
no structure.
Oh,
there
can
was
we
like
get
an
custom
energy.
capes?
What was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, be jealous. Be jealous. There was custom capes. There
I
was.
want a cape.
He had Tourette's. Bless his heart. He had Tourette's, and
It sounds like
would,
he was manic as well, just by the
he
way.
was he was something special. And like he would just cuss out people in the middle of the conversation and say, "Oh, it's my Tourette's." But anyway, like it was a lovely work environment for what it was. I have other stories, but I'm going to save that for another time. But you, like, at what point do you like, okay, I've gone too far one way. Now I'm going to overcompensate. And now I'm going this way. And now I've fucked it up on that end now. And now I'm like, well, how do I
Yeah, but
find
that's just somebody that
equilibrium
hasn't got a
here?
clue. That hasn't got.
Yeah,
a
but
clue.
like, I could
Yeah, but-
probably, if I'm honest, I could look at myself and be like, okay, so I embody the cold-hearted, you know, kind of personality because it's my boundaries.
Don't.
No, I embody.
It's
No,
so
listen, Rachel.
funny.
No, listen. I embody that, and that's my persona in certain aspects, right? That's like a mask. But I know deep down I can be nurturing. I don't like everyone to know that because I don't want to be bothered. But you know, it's one of those things where it's like, well, where do I bring my anyway? How do you meet in the middle and be nurturing but also a little bit abrasive?
Well, that's like
know what I mean?
that's like literally the work in real time, and when you screw it up, then you adjust, you know, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. Sometimes
Rupture and
it is
repair.
trial and error. Yeah,
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's my story.
trial and
What
error.
about when we seek our partner to be the nurturer for us? No, but I will tell you, for
sorry.
a better part of my life, having that partner to love me and nurture me and all that stuff made me feel really good. Okay. And then at some point I was like, oh, I don't need you to do anything. I could do it myself and it feels great. But also, I still love that you do all that, right? As a woman, I want to be taken care of and I want to be loved on and all the things. But it comes from a very different place.
Mhm.
But there was a moment in time where I really needed that external nurturing support, if you will, from my partner for me to be able to feel really good. Nobody else? Really?
That would
No,
annoy
I
I
me.
agree with
agree.
you.
I
No,
agree.
no. I agree. I'm thinking about it. You got to give us a minute.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if that's
The
like,
silence of
if
music.
that is that a part of growing up or finding your worthiness, or is that something that is just for some people? I don't know.
Listen, I didn't have my dad growing up.
Mhm.
He lived in a completely different country. So perhaps I was seeking that male validation, right? You love me. You're not leaving. You're not running away. You're here. You're doing all the things. You're being the man in my life. I'm sure that subconsciously had a huge part to do with it, although I never would have put those two things together because I never feel like I missed out, although clearly I did. And not that I turned into my own man, you know, although I do sit in that space, that masculine space. So I'm trying to sit in the feminine, but in a different way. But it's a huge thing. And I see a lot of people who sit in that space where if their partner is there or doing the things, you know, they feel okay. But there's a nervousness underneath
Mhm.
And I think I only pick up on it because I've been there.
Yeah. And
You
I
know?
would agree with you. And I've certainly been there. I'm not there anymore. And that's why I was wondering, like, was it a part of just natural evolution, or is it something in particular? I don't know. Amanda?
Oh wow.
Well, just because you were
I don't
agreeing
know.
with us. So
I
I'm
did,
fine with
yeah.
that.
That's what I'm saying. I did, yeah. No, I did agree with it because I think that, um, you know, you know, in my previous relationship, there was no nurturing. There was no, nurturing at all, and there wasn't really. It's interesting because you don't know that it's missing until sometimes years later on down you realize, well, this doesn't feel right, it's just not right. And then when you're in another relationship whereby there is that love there is that nurturing there, that's when you realize, well, this was it, this was that unsettled feeling that I had, that I can't, this was that feeling that didn't allow me to dream, because I never dreamt of getting married to this person or stuff like that, and then you meet somebody and you can see way ahead into the future. You can see that all happening and stuff like that. But it was because the previous relationship didn't really fill me with that. And I think because I didn't feel safe. I think sometimes you need to feel, it's really about feeling safe somewhere. And you don't know that it's not feeling safe until when you are safe. And then it's almost like you can take that breath. It's almost like, like that film where, I don't know if you guys ever knew about that film, Waiting to Exhale, that when you find the right person, you just, and it's okay. And whatever storm comes, you'll weather it or whatever happens. But yeah, so I just didn't feel, I just didn't feel nurtured or safe. So I didn't know what that was. I really didn't know what that was. I thought because I was living in a house with somebody, well, that's the relationship, isn't it? Because that's what you do. It's a relationship. The house makes a relationship. Then afterwards, I found out that being present in a home doesn't necessarily mean being present in a relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
Boom.
And I do wonder, like, as we were talking before, I do wonder how much of it is like the programming we have in society that a woman needs a man,
probably.
that element of things as well. Whereas things are really shifting in that area, and so maybe in the future women won't feel like we did, like we were just talking about. Maybe it's also a collective program, structure, paradigm, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but talk about going to extremes. You have women who are like, I don't need a man. I don't need any of that. And so what you're kind of doing is you're denying that beautiful balance, because it's not
That's right.
about, I don't need a man and I only have to have a man. There's the feminine and the masculine and the feminine have to be in balance.
Yeah. But that's the thing with the whole conversation. It's exactly what we said. It's like people go all the way this way or all the way this way, but actually it's about finding the balance or the part in the middle, So it's sort of a theme through the whole thing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't able to fully, how do I want to say this? I had to finally become consciously confident within myself to have that beautiful balance between the masculine and feminine in my life, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because before, I always had like a natural sense of like confidence, quote unquote, but deep within, that insecurity was there.
That's what I was about to say. Like this this undercurrent of insecurity turns into security, and then when you dance, you're both dancing confidently, right?
Yeah.
I like that. So let me ask you guys a question, right? I like that, isn't it? Let me ask you guys a question, right? Okay. And this is maybe going to go a bit left, but like, what am I trying to tie into? Is it balance or independent? I'm not sure. But like, who amongst you can change a light bulb?
Yeah, why?
I'm pretty sure I could. I never.
I don't anymore.
Oh.
No.
So let me ask you then, Lauren, is that why? Why can't you, why have you never changed a light bulb?
I don't know. They've just,
They've just never
magically
it
fix
happens.
themselves.
Can you change a fuse?
Do you buy the light bulbs though?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't change them. Can you change
I
a
was
fuse?
just making a little point there, ladies. Just a subtle one. Just
What does
making-
she buy?
Wait, what
But now I have lights that you
point
can't
is
even change the
men
bulbs.
change
They're LEDs.
the men change the light bulbs, but
Yeah.
they've never bought them.
That's
It's always
the
the
point.
women
That
that
wasn't
buy
my
the light
answer.
bulbs.
That wasn't my answer. It was,
That was
right.
my
that
point.
that was
You know, if you
making-
asked a man if
yeah.
he's ever
Amanda.
bought a light bulb, he would probably be thinking for quite a while before he answered that. Anyway, just saying. That's the balance of the feminine and the masculine. Yeah.
I
I-
literally
I
just
was-
cannot
I was
remember
just
that many light
saying
bulbs that have gone out in my
that
past.
have
Yeah,
gone out.
and now in Australia, we've been LED.
We have
in Australia
LEDs.
for
which is what you do
over a
have
decade.
now. But even like, changing a
So-
fuse or even those kind of things, doing those things without having to call in somebody else to do it.
I can do fuses.
You could do
Yep,
a fuse.
same here.
Yeah.
But honestly, when Yana was saying that, I was thinking I must have been in my masculine since I've been 13. Is what
Yes.
I think I went from pre-puberty to masculine.
Yes. But I will also say, to your light bulb point, Rachel, the only light bulbs I've ever bought for a man to change was with the men that I dated that were not fully in their masculine.
Really?
When I have been with a man fully in their masculine, they're buying it themselves, they're changing it themselves. I'm not
Really?
even asking them to do it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's just an example that I have seen it with a few different people, and so I'm able to, from experience.
But you know what's
Okay.
interesting?
Well,
So
for me,
how I
it's,
was
it's
raised.
but for me, it's both. Like I've got to say, like it's not like that was my designated job. He could certainly do it himself. It's just like, if you're buying the groceries, can you add some?
Yeah.
That's too.
To the cart.
But for me, for me and my siblings, how we were raised was that, if the light bulb went, you changed it. You weren't calling somebody else. I wasn't calling my brother or my dad to come and do it. You just thought, oh, right, I've got to figure out where the light bulb is and then go find it and change it. If a fuse went, if the fuse and the iron went, you went and changed it. I wasn't calling anybody. So there's so many things that I grew up with that I do, that I find that let's just say that, like my sister-in-laws, they crack me up because they won't do those things. They call their brother, they call the men in the family to come and do that. And I'm like, what the hell? Why am I going to travel 20 something miles to come and change a light bulb? Get up there and change the damn light bulb. But, so there were lots of things that I guess we did. We just do it in different ways. We just have the nurturing and the love and the care in different ways. Like I said, my mum was not an emotional person, but she showed her love in many other different ways. But there was many things I could do. If you need me to fix the door handle, look, the door handle, we've had a door handle on one of the doors since we've been here. That's just the screws never really fit right. It's always wonky. It's always coming off and stuff like that. And after about 3 years, I just got fed up with these men fixing it. I went and got some wood glue and metal. I glued that shit to the door, put the screws back in, never had another problem. A whole year, never had a problem. Like, what the hell? Do you know what I mean?
Don't call a man, call Amanda.
Don't call a man to do a
That's what
woman's
I'm
job.
gonna do. Can you just come to my house?
No.
My door handle needs gluing, and there's a light bulb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. No,
I
I am
don't
not that
know.
handy, but I don't know. I kind of just don't want to be. Anyway, next.
Yeah, no, very, very
No,
true. There
Rachel-
are parts of me now that I would just say, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing it. But I could do everything if I needed to.
Yeah, and that's a nice thing to know and feel capable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll work
So
on
I
it.
don't feel, but I feel everybody should. I feel my children should be like that. I think my boys, my girls, look, when growing up, we were taught how to sew at school. I don't know if you guys ever were taught
They
sewing
do
at
it now.
school,
Yeah.
embroidery, all of that type of stuff. Well, by the time my kids went to school, that kind of stuff stopped. So when my son, and I hadn't even really thought about it, when my son was in his teens, he came and asked me to sew something on. And I said to him, well, just thread a needle and do it. He did not know how to thread a needle. I was shocked. I thought, how do you not know how to thread a needle? They actually don't know how to sew things. It's weird.
They still do sewing here.
They still do. Yeah,
my
not
daughter's
here.
12. Yeah, they're doing it at school. Yeah.
No, I think it's important to have all these different little ways of being out there in the world. Something's going to need a stitch at some point.
Yes, it will.
I think there's been a couple of t-shirts out of this episode. Get up there and change it yourself. Something's going to need a stitch at some point. Sorry.
Wow.
I was on a roll.
Anyway, I was going to say it'd be interesting to hear what our listeners had to say about this subject. If please write and tell us about it.
Yeah.
So.
And with that, everybody, if you want to join the collective, head on over to our website, 30 days free. You get monthly calls, meditations, extra goodies. There's a beautiful community chat with the most awesome people. If you're interested in a reading, a healing, a guided meditation session, a light body activation, head on over to yoursoulwisdomshow.com. We thank you for allowing us to create this beautiful space, and we hope you have a blessed day. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.